everybody, but it also is a reminder for us to practice safety while we go out and encourage our family members, especially those that are young and old, to practice safety measures, to be cautious of others on the road. And what better way than to hear from a family that's impacted by somebody's choices, and they are living with the consequences every single day. And they're using their story for good to help prevent what happened to them to happen to any other. So I'm happy to have Ms. Dawn Simmons here on behalf of the Simmons 3 to provide her story. And with it being sir, please welcome Ms. Dawn.
Good morning, y'all. My name is Dawn Simmons, and just out of curiosity, how many of you are familiar with our story? Yeah, okay, so the majority of y'all. So this is my family. I'm mama to these 9. This was back in 2016, my oldest son Ren's wedding. So this was a few years back, but you know, when kids get older, it's kind of hard. They move out of state. It's kind of hard to get everybody together. And we were all dressed and pretty. So this was just a good picture that I can use to show us, you know, all together. But like I said, this was back in 2016. So this was a few years ago. This is a little bit more recent picture. This is me, my husband Ray, Ren, Katie, Shay, Rhett, Carly, Kyle, and my 3 babies, Lindy, Christopher, and Cameron. So on December 17th, 2021, Christopher had a basketball game in Monroe. We went to that basketball game. They played the game. We won. They were undefeated. It was the last day of school before the Christmas break, and after the game, the kids were hungry. We went to Subway and then proceeded to come home. On our way home that night on I-49, a drunk driver had entered onto the interstate the wrong way, and he hit us that night doing 90 miles an hour. Lindy, Christopher, and Cameron lost their lives that night. I survived, and Christopher's girlfriend, Marissa, was with us, and her and I were the only 2 to survive that night. So one man's decision that night to get behind the wheel and drive intoxicated changed our lives forever. My life as I know it, as I knew it, will never be the same. This has affected our family in every single aspect of our life. So this is my Lindy. Lindy was 20 years old at the time of the crash. She was our memory maker. Lindy videoed, photographed, and documented everyday life. It's because of her that we were able to really share our story on the level that we have, because we had so many videos, so many pictures, so much footage of the kids. And people around the world will send us messages, even out of the country, and they'll see something and they'll message us and say, oh, look, this reminds us of Lindy, this reminds us of Christopher, this reminds us of Cameron. So Lindy was just our memory maker. She was a phenomenal photographer. Her pictures stood out leaps and bounds above anyone else her age. I mean, she was literally born with a camera in her hand. We have so many videos of her and Cameron. They would be in Walmart and they would just find a little spot on an aisle where nobody was, and they would film each other dancing. Simple little things that, it didn't mean that much to me at the time, but when I can tell you, these things are priceless to me now. We have pictures of them just pumping gas at the gas station, doing a fist bump, spinning around. Lindy filmed it. Cameron was at the eye doctor one time, and she's trying to read the little letters on the screen, and she was struggling, and Lindy's on the down low filming with her caption, "This girl can't read with a skeleton head." So when I tell you this girl filmed everything. And I can tell you, I am so grateful and so thankful for that. So don't hesitate to film life, because you never know when it'll be your last day to film. You just never know. Lindy was a sophomore at Nicholls State University. At the time of the crash, she was going to major in marketing. She had just landed her dream job. The president of the university had just hired her to be the campus photographer. So that was in November of 21. She was supposed to start that position in January of 22, but that day never came for her. The president had came and visited us after the funeral, and he said he had never seen so much talent and so much creativity in a girl. And he said I was going to take her under my wing, and he said I was going to guide her and direct her into the best field that she could accomplish the most at. Because I tell you, this girl was creative. She was just amazing at everything she did. Lindy was homecoming queen for her senior year. Her and I shared a love for coffee shops. We love to go visit and sit and talk at coffee shops. It's one of the things that we loved and we enjoyed together. I miss Lindy was she was my fashion guru. Me, Lindy, and Cameron, we were able to share some clothes. So I would be shopping and I'd be like, Lindy, what about this? And 99% of the time she would be like, absolutely not. That will not work. So I miss all those little things. Lindy had the most amazing sense of humor. I mean, a day with her was a day of laughter. It's one of the things that I miss so much today. The silence in my house is so loud. It's truly like my house has lost its soul. There is nothing that is the same. But she was a beautiful girl inside and out. She just loved family. That's why we were all at Christopher's basketball game. She went with her camera. She just never wanted to miss an event and she always had pictures and videos and everything to document that day, and I'm just so thankful. Lindy would come home from college at 20 years old, and the first place that girl would go, she would come sit on my lap, and her daddy would say, Lindy, get off, you're too heavy, and I would be like, just stay right here. I loved it. I loved being a mom. It was the absolute joy of my life. I loved being a mom. And being that these were the last three and I didn't have any little ones behind them, when I tell you I poured my heart and my soul and every bit of my life into these three kids. I love all my kids, but because I was an older mom and because I didn't have younger ones behind them, I really got to pour everything into these three right here. So that's just a little bit about Lindy. She was a phenomenal artist as well. Let's see, let me go by. I went too fast. These are just some of her artwork that she would do. She did this kind of on the side when she was absolutely bored out of her mind. She would sit at the kitchen table and draw. She was immensely talented. If any of you have an interest in drawing or art, I actually have some of her artwork here with me. Y'all are welcome to have some. We were able to make a rubber stamp with her signature on it, and we were able to stamp her signature on each piece. But she was just immensely, immensely talented. The world lost so much with the loss of these kids.
Indiana Christian School Homecoming Queen for 2019 is Lindy Simmons.
And this is my Christopher. Christopher was 17 years old at the time of the crash. He was a junior in high school. Christopher was a remarkable young man. He was academically driven. He was well on his way to being valedictorian of his class. He, at the time of the crash, his highest score on the ACT was a 26. He was striving to make a 32. Actually, on the way to the basketball game that night, he was telling me, Mom, I need to get some study guides in math and science. He said, those are the two areas that I need to bring my scores up in. So we had discussed ordering him some study guides. He said, I have about 7 or 8 more times to take it. And he said, I'm determined. He said, I really want to make that 32. And I have no doubt that he would have achieved that goal. Christopher was also an amazing athlete. He received the first team All-State for basketball that year. He also received the Golden Glove for baseball, and he had never played football, but he was going to do that for his senior year. So he was an amazing young man. Him and I shared a love for sports. I can't tell you the countless hours that when I would get home from work that he and I would go throw the baseball. We would go play basketball. I'm so glad that I never said, I'm too tired, Christopher. And I tell you, I loved spending time with these kids. They were my people. They were who I did life with. He wanted to go to college to be a software engineer. His oldest brother, Ren, is a software engineer, so he was definitely already planning to follow in his footsteps. At the age of 16, he had got a job, and he already had a Robinhood account. He was already investing in stocks, selling stocks, trading stocks. He just had such a fascination with learning things. He had already began to take coding classes. Him and a little classmate had already begun to make some kind of little video game. I don't understand all that, so I'm not really sure how it went. But he was just a young man who had his future planned, and he had it planned meticulously. He had a goal set before him, and when he made his mind up, he put in the work to make sure that that goal would be achieved. This is you can see his little girlfriend, Marissa. They had plans to go to college together, and just everything that they had planned, just like every one of you, y'all have plans, y'all have visions, y'all have things that y'all want to do. They had it together. Even though they were young, I'm fairly confident, I'll never know for sure, but I'm pretty sure that these two would have gotten married. They used to joke with me and say, Mom, we're gonna beat you, we're gonna have 10 kids. I'm like, okay, all right, that sounds good. So, Christopher was just such a good man, just a good young man. He was known for his integrity. If Christopher gave you his word, I promise you could count on it. He was just a different kind of teenager, different than the other ones that I raised. All the other siblings called him the angel child. I mean, he was literally just such a good boy. I remember asking Marissa after we had lost him, and just like, tell me about Christopher. And one of the things that she told me that stuck with me the most, and she said, Christopher made me feel safe. He was always checking the air in her tires, always making sure that she needed what she had. He was just a good kid who would have had so much to contribute to this world. But that's just a little bit about Christopher. That is love, because Christopher would not have ever done that unless Marissa asked him. They were so cute. They were such a good, cute little couple. They would have just been so cute had they had the opportunity to continue on. But that's love, let me tell you, because he would have never have done that. So this is my baby girl, Cameron. Cameron was 15 years old. 15. 41 days short of her 16th birthday. 41 days short of getting her driver's license. She was so excited to get her driver's license. She had a countdown on her phone. We drove a lot together because we did a lot of practice driving. And she just couldn't wait. Cameron was the kindest child I have ever met in my life. When she saw someone hurting, when I tell you this child's heart broke, it was just so sweet and so beautiful to see. A lot of times we'd be leaving Walmart, and sometimes people need a helping hand holding up a sign. If I didn't have money in my purse, she would demand, "Mom, go to the money machine." She couldn't take it if someone was in need. So many things I did with her when she would see someone in need. Even if it was just as simple as, "Hurry, Mama, let's go open the door. Let's do this," or a smile, or a cashier. Just, "How was your day?" She was just so sweet and so kind and so concerned about others' feelings. So like I said, she had her driver's permit, so she loved to drive. And I was not opposed to that because I wanted to drive with her that first year while she had her permit so that she could get as much practice driving in as she needed, because it would make me feel better. So I'd get home from work and she'd say, "Come on, Mama, let's go drive." So we'd get in the car, she'd put her seatbelt on, she'd get her little playlist ready, and we'd back out the driveway. And when I tell you that when that girl would sing from the time we would leave to the time we would come home, I tell you, to get in a car today, because most of the time I drive alone because they're gone, they're not here. I tell you, I long to hear her little voice. I look over and, God, I wish she was still here to be able to hear that sweet little voice again. She was just so kind. She was a softball player. She was a cheerleader. She loved life. She loved Hello Kitty. She loved gummy bears. Her last text to me was, "Mama, can you please pick me up some gummy bears?" You can see in some of the pictures of the car, she's got her gummy bears in the little side pocket that she had brought on that trip. So for a long time, going into the grocery store was, I tell you, you never think going in the grocery store would be traumatizing. Everywhere I looked, I just saw them. Everything you see, everything they liked. We went to the grocery store. I have a big family, so we went to the grocery store often. And that last year especially, since Cameron wanted to do her practice driving, we did a lot of frequenting Walmart. So there were a lot of memories in that store from things that I used to buy for him. But she was kind. She was beautiful. We have her, she just would have had her 18th birthday. This was her 3rd birthday in heaven. We crashed on December 17th. Her birthday is January 27th. So a month after the crash, she had her 16th birthday in heaven, and her 17th and her 18th. To spend your child's birthday at a cemetery, it's not worth it if there are things we can do to prevent these things.
Places we fell fast to, on down beach, and I couldn't wait it, I don't deserve it. When you give yourself away, oh, reckless love. What am I now? What am I now? What if I'm someone I don't want to run? I'm falling again, I'm falling again, I'm falling. What if I'm out? What if I'm out? What if I'm someone you won't talk about? I'm falling again, I'm falling again, I'm falling. What am I now? What am I now? What if I'm someone I don't want? I'm falling again, I'm falling again, I'm falling. What if I'm out? What if I'm down? What if I'm someone you won't talk about? I'm falling again.
I missed that. So, okay, this is the night of. So, the crash happened at 9:01 p.m. I believe it was maybe around 30 minutes later, my husband got a call from a paramedic saying, your wife has been in a bad crash. She's in critical condition. We think we have her stable enough to get her to Lafayette General. Please hurry and head that way. And he was like, okay. He said, okay, what about my kids? He said, and the paramedic said, I just have your wife. I can't tell you any information on your kids. Just please get to Lafayette General. So he starts heading to Lafayette General. He calls my daughter Katie, and I had two sons that still lived here. Just three of the kids besides the Lindy, Christopher, and Cameron that lived here. And so they head to Lafayette General. So my husband gets there, and then Katie comes around, and my husband and two of my sons are running toward Katie's car. She was like, what? She said, what is it? She said, my oldest son, they told her my oldest, Ren had just texted them and said that there was a fatality, that there were two fatalities, that the two drivers had been killed. And she's like, we don't know that. That could be any other crash. We don't have any confirmation on that. Because in her mind, when she was coming to the hospital, she's thinking for sure if mom's alive, like for sure these three young kids, healthy, like of course they're okay. So she just wouldn't believe that. So she went to the front desk and asked for me, Marissa, and Lindy, Christopher, and Cameron. They had no Lindy, Christopher, and Cameron. No information about where they were. It was just me and Marissa at the hospital. So she's like, what do y'all mean? Where are they? And they were like, we don't have any information. So there was a police officer who he said, look, I don't have any information. He said, if I were you, I would go to Opelousas General. He said, I'm thinking that on the way here, maybe one of them coded and they had to detour to the nearest hospital. So in the meantime, her friend is like on the way there, her friend Allie, this is between my daughter Katie and her best friend Allie, she is just texting her all kind of numbers for her to try and call all these different hospitals because they had already called Opelousas General. Nobody had them. Nobody had them. They had no information on any of them. So they proceed to go to Opelousas General. My daughter calls again and she said, look, I know y'all don't have any Simmons children, but do y'all have any children that were brought there who were just involved in a crash? And the guy said, yes, we do. We do have a young lady here. He said, but I do have to let you know she is expired. So also in the meantime, yes, they had said that it was the two drivers. Lindy, they knew probably was the one that was driving for me because I don't see that well at night. Lindy was more of an experienced driver, and she just drove for me most of the time. So in her mind, she's thinking if any of this is valid, it would probably be Lindy. But I'm telling you, she refused to believe it. She just did not believe that it would be any of her siblings. So she gets to Opelousas General, and she the security guard let her in. She talks to the charge nurse, and she said, I'm here to, to see if y'all have my sister. And the charge nurse says, well, can you tell me what she looks like? So she's trying to describe what she looks like, and her husband said, Katie, just show him a picture. So she showed him a picture of the two girls, and the charge nurse says, come with me. That's the moment she knew that one of her sisters was back there. So her husband was like, Katie, we don't know. She said, Eric, they're bringing us back here. Like, it is. So they brought him to this little room, and they already had her in a body bag. So in her mind, she's thinking, it's Lindy. So Katie said, I can't even look. So her mother-in-law and her husband were with her, and her mother-in-law said, can you please unzip it so we can see who it is? Fully expecting it to be Lindy. But it was her baby sister, Cameron. 15 years old. Katie and Cameron look identical. I mean, they looked identical. And when she looked at her, she looked perfect. Her little face was beautiful. She went up to her and she touched her little face and rubbed it. She said, she pleaded with them, please, y'all do some more. She looks fine. She said, there's no way, like, please work on her, do something. And they said, I'm so sorry. But by the time she got here, she was in such bad shape, there was nothing we could do. We just found out through medical records that Cameron arrived at Opelousas General at 10:29, and she died at 10:33. 4 minutes. They barely even got to work on her. She was very injured. All 4 limbs were broken. I think she had a cervical spine injury, and no telling what organs. So her mother-in-law said, well, what about her other siblings? Can you please go check on them so that they don't have to be alone? My daughter just didn't want them to be alone in a hospital somewhere without family, So he said, okay, let me go check. He checks. About 5 minutes later, he comes back. He said, I think I may have found your brother. And she said, oh, thank God, at least he's okay. She said, well, I know he's not okay. She said, but at least he's alive. And the charge nurse did. I'm sorry. We're going to need you to go identify him. He's at Bunkie General. By this time, you're just in shock. So her mother-in-law said, well, what about her other sister? And he said, they're still trying to get her out the car. And Katie said, alive? And he did. Oh, no. He said, they've been trying to get her out the car for an hour and a half. The crash was at 9:01. They did not get Lindy out of the car until 12:36 that night. So in a matter of 5 minutes, really believing that that her siblings were still alive, that, maybe they had a broken arm, broken leg, whatever. Never really believing that they were gone. She found out that we had lost all 3 of them. So this is an actual picture of my car on the scene that night. You can still see the Subway cups in the cup holder. The drunk driver was doing 80 to 90 miles an hour. We were doing 75, which is the speed limit on I-49. We did everything right that night. We had our seatbelts on. We were doing the speed limit. We were just trying to get home to start to celebrate the Christmas holidays. One decision. Can you just imagine? Had the drunk driver was killed as well. There were 5 deaths that night. Lindy, Christopher, Cameron, the drunk driver, and then further down the road, they were diverting traffic, and an elderly gentleman, they believe, had got blinded by all the police lights and ambulances and rescue, actually rear-ended a state trooper patrol car, and he lost his life as well that night. One man's decision to get behind the wheel intoxicated. 5 people lost their lives that night. He was 3 times the legal limit. He was in his underwear. Didn't have a seatbelt on. He was actually ejected through his front windshield and his vehicle landed on top of him. He went down I-49 6 miles the wrong way. I have no memory of the crash. Marissa was sleeping. My last memory that night is I remember leaving the subway at 7:06 because Christopher had texted me. He was sitting in the back seat. He texted me saying, "Mama, can you tell Lindy to bring Marissa to her house instead of back to our house?" And I remember looking back at him, I'm like, "You texted me to tell her sitting right there?" And we laughed about it. And that's the last memory I have of my children alive and well. I don't remember the crash. I don't remember anything. I did not find out that I had lost my children until 2 days later, on December 19th, after my first surgery. And that's just some more pictures of the crash. Lindy was killed instantly at 9:01. Cameron passed away at 10:33. And Christopher passed away at 11:06. That night when Katie drove up to Lafayette General, when her dad and her siblings were running to her, it was 11:05 p.m. Little did she know that Christopher was about to take his last breath, and Lindy and Cameron had already passed away. So these were some of my injuries. I tore both carotid arteries, busted spleen laceration, collapsed lung, multiple rib fractures, sternum fracture, many, like I said, broken ribs. I broke 3 of my limbs. My right leg was severely broken. There was an open fracture. I mean, it was broken in like 4 or 5 places. They were really broken. But you know, all of this stuff is, I mean, my body's not the same as it was, but I am so blessed to be able to walk because I was in a wheelchair for many months. But this physical stuff, you know, you can deal with that. But when I tell you I will be a broken-hearted mama till I take my last breath, you know. So this is January 3rd. The funeral was January 4th. We had to get with the doctors to try and figure out how long I would be in the hospital, when could we have a funeral, you know, that I could attend, and just try and figure out all these things. So this is January 3rd at a funeral home in New Iberia. The actual funeral was at our church, our Savior's Church in New Iberia. And I tell you, sitting behind those doors, knowing that these 3 kids were in there in this state, I tell you, was the most hopeless and devastating feeling I have ever had in my life. Each one of you, think of 3 people in your life. I mean, people you love. When I tell you I love these kids, I love them with my whole heart and my whole soul. These were my people. I did life with these people. Everything I did was surrounded by these people. They're what I live for. I enjoyed them. I loved being around them. I love spending time with them. Think of 3 people in each of y'all life that you love, your people. At 9:01, they're here. At 9:02, they're gone. This is my son, Kyle. He's the baby now. For 2 hours, he rode me from Lindy to Christopher to Cameron. Kyle, bring me to Lindy. Bring me to Christopher. Bring me to Cameron. Kyle, bring me back to Lindy. Bring me to Christopher. Bring me to Cameron. For 2 hours. It was remarkable that the girls looked beautiful. They didn't have any, for that type of crash, you would think it would be just a bloody and horrible scene, because I mean, it was a devastating crash. But there was hardly any blood in the car. It was just a lot of broken bones and a lot of internal injuries. I'm so thankful for that, because I wouldn't want to have to envision that. But the girls, they looked okay. Not as beautiful as they really were, but okay. But my boy had broke his nose. And his nose was purple. And his little face was still swollen from the broken nose. And they didn't fix his hair right. Oh, when I saw him, it just broke my heart, because it just wasn't my Christopher. It didn't look like him. I tell you, there is nothing, not a text, not a phone call, not a song on your playlist that you need to change. Can I tell you, there's nothing in this world that is worth that. And never, y'all have to make a decision in your minds now, and do not deter from it. Under any circumstances do you ever get behind the wheel and drink and drive. Can you imagine the weight of causing this to a family if you survive? I can't imagine that. I cannot imagine that. There is never a situation where you think it's okay to drink and drive. Unfortunately, the mindset, especially in our area, and I'm thinking in many places around the world, the mindset is people just don't want to get caught. So I'm just gonna go from here to there. It's like, it's not far, and their mindset is they don't want to get a DWI. This is a big reason why I'm sharing their story. That should not be the mindset. The mindset should be is that I don't want to cause this to another family. And that's if you survive. If you don't survive, think of your family. Please don't do this to your mama. My days are difficult. They are very, very difficult. There are two sides to this coin. One, you could either be the one who caused this, like we just discussed, or you could be like us. We did nothing wrong that night. Nothing wrong. Just trying to get home from a basketball game. And I tell you, my faith has been the key thing. That is my lifeline that has gotten me through this tragedy. If God put something on your heart, do not brush it aside. One thing I can promise you, not a single one of us in here is guaranteed tomorrow. I know where my kids are. I know where they are. You never know when that last day will be. You need to be right with God. I'm telling you, I never ever dreamed in a million years that Lindy, Christopher, and Cameron would not see December 18th. Don't think this can't happen to you, because it can. We were just as normal a family as you can imagine. Nothing special about us. Just Going to my son's basketball game, just trying to make it home. And this is the day of. Triple funeral. 18 pallbearers. Friends of these kids wrapped around the church. I was in a wheelchair. I had all these broken ribs, and I was sitting low because I was in my wheelchair and had to reach up to hug. Felt like thousands of people. I was in so much pain that day, but I wanted to hug everybody's neck. Driving up to that church that day, I'll never forget this picture in my mind of those 3 hearses. I have never seen a triple funeral. Never. I've never seen that. 3 young kids with bright futures ahead of them, with dreams, with visions, because of one man's decision. It's all gone. Left with a family who has the ripple effects of losing these kids that we will experience until we take our last breath.
Never be so kind, you forget to be clever. Never be so clever, you forget to be kind. And if I could know better, I think you were talking to me now. If I could know better, I think you were still around. What I didn't say did, what I didn't say did. You're alive in my head. What I didn't say did, what I didn't say did. You're alive, so alive. Never be so polite, you forget your power. Never wield such power, you forget to be polite. And if I didn't know better, I think you would listen to me now. If I didn't know better, I think you were still around. What I didn't say did, what I didn't say did. You're alive in my head. What I didn't say did, what I didn't say did. You're alive, so alive. The autumn chill that wakes me up. You love the inner sky so much. Moment and frozen swims. You always go past where our feet can touch. And I complain the whole way then. Car ride backing up the stairs. I should have asked you questions. I should have asked you how to be. Asked you to write it down for me. Should have kept every grocery store receipt. 'Cause every scrap of you would be taken from me. Watched as you signed your name, Marjorie. All your closets and backlog dreams, and now you left them all to me. But I didn't say that, but I didn't say that. You're alive in my head. But I didn't say that, but I didn't say that.
So, Lindy Simmons, October 24th, 2001, December 17th, 2021. Another side note, Lindy and I share a birthday. I would always think that after I'm gone, I hope she'll be able to still be able to celebrate her birthday. never dreaming that I would be left here to celebrate a birthday without her. Christopher Simmons, October 18, 2004, December 17, 2021. Cameron Simmons, January 27, 2006, December 17, 2021. The dash. The dash is what each and every one of you are living now. What are you going to do with it? Today is the day that you begin to live in your dash and begin to build your legacy. Every single one of us is going to have that final date stamped, but not a single one of us knows when that will be. What will you do? What decisions will you make to begin to build your legacy? Don't wait. Begin today, because none of us know when that last date will be stamped. You don't want to be like John Christopher Lundy, who killed my kids. His legacy to me is a murderer, because he decided to get behind the wheel and drive drunk, where 5 people were killed. Make good decisions. Begin to build your legacy now when you have opportunity to do things that will make a difference. I call it be a risk taker for Jesus. Do the right thing. Make good decisions. Step out of that comfort zone. Do things. Make a difference that are going to change people's lives for the better. Be kind. Be compassionate. Don't be judgmental. All these things make a difference. Building your legacy starts today. Don't think you're too young. Don't think, oh, I'm going to do that later. Start today, because not a single one of us know when that final date will be stamped. And always be right with God. Always be right with God. That has been the most helpful thing that has gotten me through the tragic loss of these kids. I don't think I could have made it. I don't think I would have had the hope of knowing that I will get to see them again. This is actually at the crash site on I-49. It's at exit 40 on I-49 South, mile marker 41. This is the spot where my life as I knew it died. The family I had, 9 kids, the family we were, the dynamics, the dreams, the hopes, the visions, the plans, it all died that night. So we are left to try and navigate through this horrible, horrible tragedy. And God has done some beautiful things. I am not a public speaker. I was a mail lady all my life. But through Him, He has given me the strength to hopefully make a difference in each and every one of y'all's lives. And in doing that, I get to represent them, and I get to continue to build their legacy. I can go to this crash site right now, and I guarantee you I will find pieces of my vehicle. The physics of the crash that night, about 2 or 3 months ago, we had gone to the crash site, and probably about 100 feet on the side of the road, I found my battery connected to a big piece of metal. I mean, when I tell you my car literally disintegrated, it was just such an impact. But this is where my life changed forever. And this is their resting place. Every day, unless I'm out of town, I'm here. I go here every day. I was such a hands-on mom, such a to do, Mom. I always felt like I needed to do something. I go every day and clean that gravesite. It's beautiful, but they shouldn't be there. They did nothing wrong. Because of one man's decision, our lives will change forever. So I hope that you will carry Lindy, Christopher, and Cameron's story with you. I hope that you make a commitment to really take their story with you. Pledge to not drink and drive. Put that phone away if it tempts you. Do what you need to do to not let things like this happen. It's just not worth it. There's not a single thing in this world that would be worth that. You know, if nothing changes in your heart, this is just another sad story. I hope their story will transform some things in you to really make you think when you get behind the wheel. These crashes, they happen quickly. I mean, I tell you, you just answer a text, because it's not just you, it's other drivers that you have to be aware of. So, thank y'all so much for having me. I hope our story will remain with you, and I pray that it helps you make better decisions so that you will never have to experience a tragedy like we have. So, anybody have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question, but I just have a comment. I just want to say, thank you for allowing God to utilize you as a vessel. Such a difficult time.
Yes.
I can't even imagine.
I did not think I would be able to survive it. I really didn't. It took me a few months. And, I had heard this on a message one day. We are here when these kind of things happen to us like this. Once we're in heaven, we don't have these bad things happening, right? So we don't have the opportunity to take these things that we don't understand and offer them up to the Lord. And, with something that cost me this much, I won't have the opportunity to praise Him, to continue on, to represent Him, to glorify Him. We have that opportunity here. We won't have it there. So when things happen here, we need to take those moments, because there's no surprises to Him. No, I do not understand. I will never, ever understand until I get there. But, He turns all things into good. So, and what does good look like? Is it me standing here? Even if it makes a difference in one of y'all lives, it was worth it. Even though it cost me dearly, So yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Wait, I'm sorry. What's that?
His whole family has a history of DUIs, and he will not follow.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's awesome. That is wonderful. That's fantastic. I tell you, there's nothing worth it. And as I said, it's the mindset. People they don't think it's gonna happen to them, and I'm just going right here, like nothing's gonna happen, but their main thing is they don't want to get a DUI. That's the main thing. But this should be the main thing. I don't want to cause another family the hurt and the pain that our family will experience for a lifetime. You know, thank you, baby. That's it, you know, just that comment, it's worth it. It makes all the difference in the world, you know, to transform one person's perspective, one person's thinking before you get behind the wheel of that car. There's just nothing, there's nothing worth this. And you know, once these things happen, that's it. You can't say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. You know, I should have did this, I should not have done that. At 9:01, that's it. It was done. Trust me, if I could go back, I would have went back 1,000 times. If I could have given my life for those kids, I would have given it. But I can tell you one thing I am thankful for. They will never have to experience this pain, this heartache. I will take that for them every day. They will never have to experience this. And that I will take for them. So, any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we have a pending 501c3 that we do for the kids. We go around and we speak. We've gone out of state. We do a lot of our speaking here, but my daughter our website is simmons3.com. My daughter has a TikTok. I don't know, are y'all familiar with her TikTok? Katie Derwan1. She has an Instagram, Facebook page. Where we are. I wish she could have been here today, but she works. And she actually started working part-time because her heart is not in her job anymore. Her heart is to do this. But we have to be able to be established enough to be able to pay her salary, because I would never want her to, you can't just quit your job and just come do something and then don't make no money. So we are in the process of hopefully being able to do some fundraisers and different things like that. And hopefully we can get her on board, because what she went through that night has changed her forever. And her heart is no longer, she doesn't have the passion that she used to for her job. Her passion is to come and do this with me and make a difference in people's lives. What she had to do that night and go identify her siblings. And she did that so that her daddy could stay with me and that he wouldn't have to see that. So, yes, ma'am.
What was the moment that made you want to tell their story, your story, their story, your family's story?
For months, I'm going to tell you, I couldn't look at their pictures when I was in a wheelchair, when they would have to bring me to our bathroom. Cameron's door was right by our bathroom. They had to make sure the door was closed. When I tell you I couldn't look at their bedrooms, when I tell you I was hopeless. And finally, actually it was a YouTube video where God began to give me my hope back, which is crazy, right? There was a lady, Dr. Mary Neal, who had a near-death experience. And look, I know they got some crazy wackadoodle things with these near-death experiences, but this lady was an orthopedic surgeon. She had a near-death experience, and I think what I needed, and the Lord knew, I've been saved for a long time, but I needed a reality. I needed a clearer picture. I needed to know, solidly, what's in heaven? What are my kids doing? I just needed to know that. And so she had a near-death experience, and she eventually lost a son, so I really had a double connection with her. But her description of heaven and the love there and the beauty there gave me such a peace and just a hope to know that I'm going to see him again. And after I began to get my hope back, I said, okay, Lord, I said, you saved me for a reason. I should not have survived that crash. I was sitting in the front seat. Lindy was driving. Cameron was behind Lindy. Marissa was in the middle, and Christopher was behind me. I was in the front. I should not have survived that crash. So I finally got to the point once the Lord had restored my hope, and I said, okay, you saved me for a reason. What do you want me to do? Whatever it is, the answer is yes. And once I established that, doors began to open for us to do things like this. And we began to get calls, and trust me, I am not a public speaker. I mean, I was a mail lady, never. Well, yeah, good thing, because I couldn't do it any other way. I'm not that talented. I'm not that talented. It really comes from my heart. That's really why I can do this. But God gives me the strength to do it, and I get to say their names. I get to tell their story. I get to know that they being remembered, that they making a difference, that they changing people's lives. That their death was not for nothing. So it was when I decided that, okay, why am I here? Should not have survived that crash. There's just no way I should have survived it. When I got to Lafayette General, they number the trauma patients. I was a 35. Anything over a 25, they don't expect you to survive. So, so here I am. Yeah, yes. So, but anyway, any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
This weekend, after a parade happened to us, that a minute later, my daughter.
Right. I'm telling you, you don't know. There's no guarantee for tomorrow. There's none. And that's why, decisions you make, they have consequences. Think before, take the time, think, appreciate your family, love your family, love your family and your friends and people you love, because you really just, you don't know. I'm telling you, I never could have fathomed what happened to us. They were three vibrant, I mean, full of life kids, full of life, and had so much to contribute to this world. They were good kids. They were really, really good kids. So, anything else? I have, let's see, I have some bracelets here. Just, y'all can keep them in y'all cars. I don't know if when y'all walk out, maybe y'all can grab one. That might be easier. Just as a reminder, put it in your car, put it on your shift or whatever. I have another bag too if we run out. Just to keep something physical to remember their story. And when you look at that, when you get in your car, you'll make a good decision. You'll make a good decision. So, all right. Well, thank y'all so much for having me. Appreciate y'all having me. Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it so much. Let's see. Let me give a couple of shakes. Oh, thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you. You did a wonderful job. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, yes, look. Take a shirt.
Oh, thank you.
Linda Christopher and Cameron shirt.
And you said that you have pictures. My granddaughter's an artist. Are you giving
I forgot that. God dog it. Look, let me lay them out on the table. This is some of her artwork right here. I forgot about it. Look, y'all, if any of y'all like artwork, this is some of Lindy's.
my granddaughter?
She's got, let me spread them out. This, oops. This. This is the one she's known as, this eye right here. She drew that when she was real young. And she just does it with pencil.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
God bless you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Here you go, Ben. Take a shirt.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. Awesome.
Oh,
Plant one water, God gives the increase. So you planting that seed.
yeah, yep, that's
very
it.
much for coming to
Yes, thank y'all so much for coming. Thank y'all. Thank y'all
I
so
have
much.
2 kids that are almost at driving age. They will know the story.
We're actually to get to driver's ed schools
That's wonderful.
because they can relate to these kids.
Absolutely.
You know.
They will know all about this. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I'm sure they have TikTok. Katie Derwan.
Yes, they do.
It's very in
I
depth.
follow her.
Oh, you do?
I
Okay.
do. Yes.
Okay. Well, good. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, baby. Thank you for coming.
Yes, ma'am. My cousin was really good friends with us.
What?
Cameron Foch, Cameron and Caleb.
Well, that was her best friend.
Yeah,
That's
and
who she rode with.
When she passed away, I would just,
He came with us to the family view, and he lost it.
yeah,
He loved
he
Lindy.
did, and he always talked about her.
Loved Lindy.
Yes, ma'am.
She slept on his sofa.
Oh, really?
I had her a dorm room, but she slept on Cameron's sofa.
Right.
I'm like, girl, what you making me pay for this for?
Yes,
That was
ma'am.
Lindy style. Oh, what's your name, baby?
Alexis.
Alexis.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, he lives in.
Yes.
Okay. I'm
ma'am.
gonna tell him I saw you.
Okay. Please
Okay.
do.
Oh, thank you, baby. Oh, yes. For coming. Appreciate it.
So strong and amazing.
Oh, thank you. It's God. It's not me. I'm a weak little crumb.
Yes, ma'am.
Like, there's not a day that goes by I don't
one
cry
that
for
can
my
do it.
kids.
Day and my anniversary.
Really?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
October
Yes.
18th.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for sharing
Yes,
your
thank
story.
you, baby. Thank you for coming. Thank you, baby. So glad y'all got. Hi, baby. Oh, hi. Thank you. Thank you. Hi. Thank you, baby. Look, I'm gonna give you this. This is a Christopher shirt.
Thank you.
To give it to a guy.
3.
You have 3?
They remind me of yours.
Really?
I have the TikTok guru, then I have the athletic son, and the kind-hearted daughter. Here.
Well, isn't that just, that's them? That's
Same order. Boys
really? Wow. Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming,
So
baby.
Damien, I said, was working, and nothing but the Holy Spirit told me to stop and come.
Really?
Not remembering it all happened,
Right.
but not realizing it all happened on my birthday.
Oh, really?
So I'll be praying for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I hate seeing that date. I'm sorry. It's your birthday.
In my heart, I will always
Yeah.
remember, as painful as it is.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you
you
for
for
everything.
coming.
Yeah,
Of
thank you
course,
for
I love
coming.
it. I followed Katie.
You
and
do. I wish she could have come.
Oh no, yes, and
Ah,
I lost a
we
good
working
friend
on
for
it.
this
I
trip,
believe
so-
God's gonna make a path for
It
her to be
will.
able to
It's gonna
come.
happen.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen. And I
Yeah.
appreciate
Hi, Dawn.
Hi.
You just inspirational. Thank you. I work for the Office of Counseling and Disability Services.
Okay.
So, yeah, I hear a lot of pain, but it's very touching.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
You're a phenomenal person. So,
I wish this wasn't our story.
I wish
but
it wasn't either. I
But-
would love to see Lindy's artwork that you mentioned.
Is it all going?
I don't know. I was just my daughter.
That's all that's left.
My daughter's 23.
I don't know if you. This is Ariana Grande. These are only 2 that's left. They took them
No,
all.
I would
You-
love to put one in the office if
You're
that meets your
welcome.
approval.
Yeah.
They're both
Yeah.
good.
Like I said, I just kind of
No,
grabbed one of each
I'm
just
going to,
for variety.
Yep, make sure that her name is on it, and it'll be a good reminder. So I do, and thank you.
Thank
Big
y'all.
fan for you.
Thank
I'll
y'all.
continue to pray for you.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
okay.
That's what it's there for. I just.
pass the site quite often because I have a friend that lives in Alexandria,
Oh,
and I
okay.
live in Opelousas, and I go that way, and I say a prayer for your family
Oh,
every
thank
time,
you. Thank you.
every single
Yeah.
time.
But
It's
I think this is a good thing. Maybe
Yeah.
that was what you were called to do,
You're making a difference.
even though you can't.
I can yeah.
Not for a
It's
reason we wanted,
amazing.
but you're making a difference.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time
Thank
and
you. Huh?
Knows to say hello. So I've been talking to Katie on TikTok.
Oh,
And
really?
I live in New Iberia.
Okay.
And I used to live in California. So when I first moved here last year, I heard about the story.
Okay.
And I told her, I was like, it might sound kind of weird. I said, but I love photography too. And I just got this new Canon camera. And I
Really?
said,
That was Lindy's first.
I love it. It's so clear. And I said, well, Katie, would it be weird if I go like to the cemetery, take my mom, and we just spend the afternoon, take pictures? What I was going to do is I was going to take pictures without us in them and send them to your guys' PO box so you guys can have the pictures from a different lens. You know, I know you guys take pictures, but it'll be from our visitors.
You are more than welcome.
I don't want to do that without asking. That's kind
honored.
Of, you know,
in fact, we're getting ready to get a little. She's checking into the little QR code.
Oh, okay.
Where you can scan, and I don't know if you get to say who comes or if it's just I don't know. You know what? I'm not techie.
Like techie, okay.
No,
I'm kind of techie, so maybe that'll
yeah.
work.
So
Okay.
we haven't gotten it yet, but Katie's
I'll
working
be in
on
touch
it.
with her. I have her email, so I'll keep in touch.
Yeah.
And I'll tell her. Like,
what's your name, babe?
My first name's Lavinia.
Okay.
It's in my email, so I'll be like,
gotcha.
I talked to your mother and so on.
Okay.
So we'll definitely be in touch.
All right, baby. Yes, that would be an honor. Thank you.
I wasn't able to come, but we wanted to come meet and say hi.
Oh, well, hi. Oh, y'all could have come.
Yes, ma'am.
Good to see y'all. Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
Same here. Same here. Y'all from Lafayette?
Yes.
I am actually from Azerbaijan. It has
Oh.
been 8 years we are here.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Your story was something hurt me and my husband so bad. Like
I tell you, we have got so much response from here in the U.S., but so many different countries.
Yeah.
I have shipped this child's artwork off around the world. Around the world. It's such an honor. Such an honor.
Sorry for your happened, but it is something everyone will get their lesson.
Yes. Well,
to
that's
their kids.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
have 2 of my own.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were my baby of 9. So I have, I was blessed with. I could have had 15. I love being a mama. Loved it. Well, it was a pleasure to meet y'all. Okay. All right. Bye, baby. Let's see. Well, praise God, huh? Yes. Like I said, if it can touch one person, one person. Yes. Oh, yes. And it would be worth it. Let's see. Let me go take this off right here.